video is going to be my experience on getting my master's in business management at UCL in London. If you're thinking about going to UCL, or if you're thinking about getting your master's in the UK, or just in general, if you're interested about my experience in getting my master's in business management, then this video is for you. I would really appreciate if you could leave it a like and maybe subscribe to my channel. I know right now my content is mostly just like fitness based, but I don't know. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. Okay, so just before I get into the experiences at UCL, a little bit about myself. I am half German, half Mexican, and I have the German nationality. So I was able to pay EU fees at UCL, and I also didn't need a visa or anything like that. I don't know if that still applies right now, but I would check into that before you apply, because I do know that some of the international people, like non-EU, had to pay more, or they had to, go through a longer process. I got my undergrad in International Relations and Economics at the University of Texas in Austin, which I absolutely loved, and it was amazing, and I loved the program, I loved the university. It's a really big university, but it's in Austin, a city that is like perfect size for me, and I just loved it. Before coming to UCL, I didn't have any background in finances or business or anything. I think the closest I ever did was like a business economics class, which was mostly just like intro to microeconomics. But basically I had no background in that. So I knew that when looking for a master's, it had to be something that allowed kind of people that didn't have any experience in it. And I also wanted to find something or a program that kind of combined like an intro to business with entrepreneurship, which was pretty difficult to find, and I definitely think after this video you'll kind of see my experience with that, but it's kind of what I wanted. Okay, number one is the application process. I started applying for master's degrees of April last year, so April 2019, and the program actually started in September of 2019, so I definitely started way late, and I know other people started like a year before me, but I just didn't know I wanted to apply, and I think because I was EU I was lucky, so I didn't have to get a visa or anything like that. I applied to 4 universities. I applied to the University of Cardiff, the University of Bristol, UCL, and then King's College. And I was going to apply to London School of Economics, but 2 weeks into me doing the application, I actually got an email saying that they had closed. So I don't advise leaving it that late because you might miss out on some things. For UCL, you obviously just have to kind of fill out your regular information, your employment history, your academic history, and then you do have to write 2 short essays. So I honestly think it was really easy, just like kind of your own experiences, what you want out of the program, and then you submit it. And then about like a week and a half after that, I got a response saying that I was going to do like a little live virtual interview. So it wasn't with somebody in person, but it was like a video recording that you could only have one try to do. So in that little interview process, you kind of talk a little bit about yourself and what your experiences are, like why you're a suitable candidate for the program, and then like another different kind of question. And then something I honestly didn't like that much from the application process was that it took about like a month and a half for them to tell me that I got accepted, versus 2 of the other 4 universities that I applied told me literally like a week and a half after I applied that I had been admitted, or that I had been accepted. So it was a little bit difficult to kind of plan moving from the US to the UK without actually knowing that I had been accepted at UCL. So that's definitely something I would look out for. Okay, number 2 is the program itself at UCL. It's a Master of Science in Management, and at UCL there's actually 3 different pathways. 2 of them, which are the financial pathway and the corporate pathway, are actually for people that do have like a business background or a finance background, versus the management pathway, which is the one I was in, is for students that don't have any experience in business or finance, which is something I really, really enjoyed, because you never felt like you were getting behind or anything, because everybody kind of started almost at the same level, I would say. Most people had a background in liberal arts like I did. The course is only 1 year long, and it's 3 or like 4 terms if you count your dissertation time. And it definitely is very, very, very fast-paced, because in 1 year you have to learn kind of everything of business to give you a really good, like, solid background on business and finance. So the first term, in my opinion, was definitely like the most difficult one or the worst one, because you do have a lot of reading to do, a lot of catching up to do, a lot of studying to do, and it definitely does drive you a little bit crazy. So just be aware that in the first term especially, you're going to have to be studying like nonstop. Like you honestly are not going to have any free time. And I would say that the exams after the first term were really, really difficult, and I know a lot of people that didn't do that well in the exams. So be aware of that, because it is going to be something that can be a little bit shocking, especially if you come from a liberal arts background where you might be used to getting better grades. The second term was a little bit easier because you already have like an introduction to a lot of the topics. So you have 2 finance classes, or at least I did. You have 2 finance classes. And in the second one, it's obviously a little easier because you already have a background. So it gets better, I guess. And then finally, the last term, you only have 3 courses. And one of them is actually your choice. All the other ones are pre-given. I would recommend taking Influence and Negotiations. I loved the professor I had. She was amazing. And you do a lot of like in-live negotiation, which was really fun. Obviously, because of quarantine and coronavirus, it all changed a little bit, but it was still a really great class, so I really advise it. Finally, in terms of your dissertation on the program, you can either choose to write a business research, so it's like a traditional dissertation where you analyze a specific topic in business, or like in the business scene, and then you kind of conclude your own evidences and things like that. Or the other option, which is what I was really looking for, which is to create a business plan. So you can either come up with your own individual startup, everything like the name, the concept, you have to do financial analysis, marketing plan, everything like that. Or you can create a business plan for a company that already exists. So for example, Google, you can create a project for them, and that would be kind of your business plan. I will say, as much as I have enjoyed creating my own business plan and kind of getting the education and the experience and doing everything like that, you do not get any help at all throughout the year. I would say that is kind of the only little small entrepreneurial part that you learn in this program, even though UCL clearly states on their website that it is a like a typical business management program together with entrepreneurship, but I would say it's like 90 to 10%. So you really do have to do all the business plan, the startup thinking, kind of all yourself, and you don't really get any support from that or like any previous knowledge on it. So overall, my experience with the program itself is that it gave me a really great framework on business, finances, strategy, project management, everything like that, which is super helpful for anything that you want to do really. But I do wish there had been more like entrepreneurial aspects to the program, because I was missing that a lot. And I would also say something that it is lacking a little bit is that since it's only 1 year, you do end up kind of with no specific direction of anything. So I think I was hoping that when I finished this program, I would have like a clear path that I wanted to go for my career. And I think I'm just more lost than I was before. So just be aware that that's also something that you're going to have to do on your own a little bit more to kind of find out what you want to do specifically with the education that you got. Okay, my number 3 is my experience just with UCL. So if you're thinking becoming about UCL, know that this is specific for my program and my experiences. I don't think everybody gets that, especially if you're an undergrad. Your experience is going to be different than to a graduate degree. But I will say that I was a little bit, I guess, disappointed with UCL, maybe because I was coming from like UT, which is a very large and well-known university in the US, to coming to UCL, which is a little, I guess, like a little bit smaller. So for example, activities and extracurriculars and things like that, to me, it was like super minimal. I feel like UCL doesn't offer anything like that, or at least not really in my experience, maybe comparing it with UT. And I will also say that UCL was a little bit like slower and kind of keeping us updated and getting back to things, and I guess I would just say a lot less organized than UT was, so it comes across a little bit as like unprofessional sometimes, in my complete honest opinion. But I also had a very positive experience. The people in my program were super international, which I very much enjoyed because it's something that I look for in like a business environment. But if you're looking for like a very typically like British, like I guess, scene, then UCL probably wouldn't be the right thing for you. So for example, I think 50% of the students in my course were from China, and then I think all the others were from other parts in Europe or Asia or like Lebanon, India, places like that. And I think only 3 out of like 200 people were actually from the UK. But I think any university in London specifically is going to be like that, if I'm honest. 2 other things I would say that were very different at UCL than at UT was kind of how the professors treat you. I don't know if it is just because I was in like a small course versus I was used to like really large lectures, but the professors kind of don't really treat you like adults. Like they definitely still treat you like you're in high school. Like apart from the fact that there's mandatory attendance, they're constantly telling you like, oh, like don't be thinking that you can just like not start right now and leave it all to the end, or something that honestly reminds me of like elementary school. Like I haven't heard that in years and years. And all the professors know your name, which is also very nice because you have like a close relationship with them, but that definitely leads to them kind of treating you more like a child rather than like an adult. In my honest personal opinion, that's just the experience I had. I would say the last thing that I was actually pretty like disappointed on, or what it's like the most, was actually the campus. So the management pathway, or just in general, all of the management school is in a high-rise in Canary Wharf. So we only have kind of 1 floor to ourselves, which is really nice because you do have like beautiful views and it's like in the center of Canary Wharf, so there's lots of stuff around. But it's very small comparing it to the beautiful campus that you have in Bloomsbury, so downtown London. And definitely kind of the business environment there is very like pressuring, and yeah, I think it gets to you. Like I personally like really large campuses, maybe from my experiences, but that's the experience I have. Finally, in terms of career opportunities, I think UCL, or at least in my program, actually does a really, really good job. Every single Wednesday, we had like 4 hours of like career induction. So not only like preparing yourself for like your professional career and for how to work in a business, an organization, so writing a resume, a CV, acting in a professional environment, they really, really do a good job. You can also, I mean, even now, once we're done with classes, I get emails from the careers services kind of telling us that they can help us and, you know, guide us and things like that. The only thing I would say again, which I was a little bit disappointed in, is that in all of the careers opportunities that they showed us on Wednesdays were directed towards like specifically consulting and kind of that area of business, versus no like entrepreneurial skills or anything like that was taught to us. And I know I don't want to go into consulting, so I kind of felt like a little bit left out in that sense. Finally, number 4 is just quickly my experience about living in London. Personally, although it's a very like international and big city and it has lots of like career and job opportunities, I don't love the city. I had been to London multiple times before coming here to UCL, and I actually knew that I didn't want to live in London because it is such a big city. But obviously UCL has a really good name, so I decided to come to UCL. Another thing also just to be aware of is if you live on the outskirts of London, so if you don't live downtown, you're probably going to rarely make it downtown because it does take a trip. It's actually kind of expensive to take the trains all the time and things like that. So it's just something to be aware of. Alright, so I just want to finish quickly with number 5, which is my final recommendations if you've already accepted your position here at UCL. The first one is try to live somewhere in between downtown and Canary Wharf, because most of your classes are going to be in Canary Wharf, but you will have to go at least once a week to a downtown campus. Obviously, I don't know if with coronavirus or anything like that has changed, but that's my number 1 advice. My number 2 advice is to be aware that it's going to be really difficult at first, and that it's going to take some time to adapt, and make sure to honestly get started from the beginning to study and to catch up, because otherwise it's going to be really stressful in the end. Number 3, which I already mentioned, is that you're probably going to be finishing with your program having kind of no real direction of any career path, so be aware that that's something that you might have to do kind of independently on your own. And then finally, number 4, I'm going to end this on a good note, is to make sure to be friends with all different kinds of groups. Especially in my course, there were kind of like different friends groups and study groups and stuff like that, and I learned that if you become friends with everybody, that you'll have the best experience because it's going to be international and fun and yeah, just the best. Okay, so just to wrap it up, overall my experiences were positive and negative. I think there were some really, really good things that I learned. I had some really good fun times, everything like that. But on the other hand, I do think I was disappointed with a few of the things, and especially because it does cost quite a lot. I think some of the things were kind of a given to me, and I was a little bit disappointed with not having them. But overall, good luck if you're going, and enjoy! I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next time.